In this episode of the Natural Birth Talk, we talk all about spinning babies with Gail Tully. Before you listen to the episode, be sure to check out the description below for our helpful products guide and our natural birth education course. Here's your sneak peek, so stick around. Well, and more able to trust your instincts as well, because we have those, and they're very important.
And we're more able to access our instincts.
Yes.
When our fascia's in a twist, it twists our pelvic floor, it twists our respiratory diaphragm, and it twists the membrane under our midbrain. And so it affects our hormones, it affects our instincts.
Hi, I'm Rachel Manns, owner of the Natural Birth site and this podcast, The Natural Birth Talk. Here, you'll learn all about different natural aspects of birth, pregnancy, and postpartum. Remember, none of this information should take the place of a care provider and is not medical advice. Birth is not a medical emergency. Thanks for listening. Hey everyone, welcome to the Natural Birth Talk. Today I am here with Gail Tully and we are going to talk about spinning babies. I'm so excited to have this topic on here. But before we get started, I want to let her introduce herself.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you. Hi, everyone listening. I'm Gail Tully. I'm a midwife. I'm a certified professional midwife, or CPM, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And now, although I'm on call for birth at the moment, most of my time is being involved with spinning babies. Spinning Babies is a company, but it's also an approach to birth that starts with physiology, activates the body, the real birth anatomy, which is the fascia, joints, muscles, everything in and around the pelvis, all the way up to the neck and down to the ankles, so that comfort can arrive in pregnancy and ease can happen in birth.
Yeah, I definitely see that in my clients from when I was a doula who didn't have spinning babies training. And then being a doula who did have the 1-day spinning babies class, and now being a doula and childbirth educator who has been to the 4-day class, I see so much difference between each training. And I really do love these movements that you teach. They really are so helpful. And I just love, like you said, from the ankles to the neck, love that it takes that whole body approach too.
Even the jaw, even the fascia over the cranium. I mean, our whole bodies are connected, right, Rachel? Just like our communities are connected.
Absolutely.
It was lovely to have you at the 4-day training. It was the Spinning Baby Certified Parent Educator training so that you can teach parents about the Spinning Babies approach.
Yes. And that is my favorite class to teach. I teach, in person and I have online, pre-recorded, but the Spinning Babies 3-hour class is my favorite one to teach because I feel like it just gives so much information that so many people don't know, that they don't understand. And so I love opening that door for them. And so with that being said, why don't you give us, start with the thing that you think is most important or most exciting, whatever you want to start with, Gail.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect either.
Thank you. That's what we talk about. We talk about, balance first. And I think that's probably the most important, but we don't have to be perfect with our body balance. What is body balance? I'm talking about not too tight, not too loose, and not too twisty in the ligaments, muscles, pelvis, so that the baby can line up with the pelvis and the path through the pelvis for ease in getting themselves into position and then through the pelvis during birth. The uterus is trying to help the baby first get it into the pelvis and engagement, or lightening. Some people know it as, the baby dropped, at the very end of pregnancy, and then also in labor. And so if the baby's not lined up with the pelvis, the uterus works and works and works, and it hurts.
Yes, that's where we get those really long labors most of the time that are really intense because the uterus has to work so hard because the baby's not aligned in their best position.
Yeah, I got interested in this and developed Spinning Babies by answering a question, trying to answer a question. What makes birth easier? Because I was a doula. Yeah, I was a doula at that time. And I was interested in midwifery. but I hadn't really started on a midwifery path yet. I was assisting some midwives. And I was going to births in the hospitals for families that wanted to birth without medication.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sat with women through the whole time, at the end of their pregnancies, when labor began, and through labor, and even into the first couple hours after birth.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot from observing. And in that observation, I saw the births of parents that said, here's my intention. When I give birth to my child, my intention is to, go as long as I can without medication, if I can, hold my baby right after the birth, have a great breastfeeding relationship. And then some people had a straightforward labor, and some people worked at it for days. Maybe they had a vaginal birth. Maybe they had a cesarean to finish the birth. It did affect breastfeeding very often. The harder birth was, not all the time, not 100%. Some breastfeeding starts went without a hitch after a long labor, and some were complicated after a short labor.
Yeah.
But in general, there is a high correlation to a less medicated birth, more natural birth, and more straightforward birth. We're going to have more time together after the birth. We're going to have more eye-to-eye contact, skin-to-skin contact, and a latch that's more spontaneous with less necessary help. And if help is necessary, it's great to have that help.
Absolutely.
Of the breastfeeding specialist. That's fantastic help. Really makes a difference. But if we can help that to happen by our own physiology, then, that's ideal. And so what was the difference between the person that had an easy birth and a person that worked at it so hard?
Yeah.
It wasn't attitude. It was rarely attitude, rarely, only in the very extreme cases. It wasn't too small a pelvis. Oh, I saw a couple of births like that. It can happen that someone's pelvis has shaped in a way that the baby's head can't get through it, or so small.
Very rare, very rare, but it can happen.
And if the pelvis is small and the baby's in an ideal position, they fit. It's really the pelvis that's off kittywampus, it's off in a twist.
Or isn't able to open because there's some restriction.
Right. The restriction could be that the joints in the back, that what we call SI joints or sacroiliac joints, are locked up. And that is connected to the overall body, even sometimes their jaw. The person that grinds their teeth or gets spasms in their jaw. There's fascia membranes and sort of like highways of fascia going through your body, and
it all connects.
Yeah.
It all connects.
It's all connected. So it gets pulled. Like if you're trying to put a fitted sheet on a mattress and you're trying to get it around one corner, it pops off the other corner.
Yeah.
We need some equal tension in the body for our body to function the best. And fortunately, we only need it so.
Yeah.
Right. Or sometimes it's out of balance, but it works out for us.
Yeah.
And other times our baby's breech, or our baby is face up or posterior, or coming out by the side of their head a little bit.
Yeah, that asynclitic presentation.
Yeah. And babies just fitting the space available. So
they're smart. They're quite smart when given the resources. They're very wise beings. They know how to do this.
They do have instincts and reflexes and intelligence, and they also have a shape to their head. Their head is heavier than their bottom. Their shoulders are heavier than their hips. Gravity would like them to be head down. Gravity pulls them, and that just the weight of their head and shoulders would have them be head down. And 97% of babies are head down approximately by the end of labor. But what about those 3-4% that aren't? And then we have another 15% that are head down but sunny side up.
Yep.
So I like to say head down's half the story.
Right. Head down's half the story. I tell clients that all the time. They'll say, oh, well, they said my baby's head down. She's in a great position. And I'm like, okay, I'm so glad. But we got a little bit more digging to do. We may still have a little bit more work to do because you can be head down but sunny side up, or be head down but have an asynclitic, like that tilt in the neck.
And that asyncliticism might show up before birth, but usually it shows up in the birth process, because it's when the head comes down on the pelvic floor that is crucial. And, we don't have to know baby's position, because we know that the baby's head is about the size of a small muskmelon, or, what's another? Cantaloupe. I don't know what people call their melons around the world, but large softball or a small
large
melon,
grapefruit. A large grapefruit.
Yeah,
maybe.
grapefruit. Yeah. And like a grapefruit, there's some flexibility in that head. But unlike a grapefruit, the head is not so round. The part of the head is longer where the forehead is. And if the chin is tucked, then the part that comes into the pelvis is round. The dome of the head is round.
Yes.
But if the baby's sunny side up, then the forehead's coming too. And then you have a long head. And that can cross the bones of the pelvis. And so we might need to temporarily soften the muscles around the pelvis so the baby can turn their head. The uterus is trying to turn the baby. The baby might also try to turn their head. But when the baby's not in an ideal position for birth, or when the baby's not fitting so easily, it's not because the baby has a personality problem.
Yeah.
They're not stubborn.
Yeah.
They want ease as well.
Yeah. Which I think, honestly, as a doula, I think I probably regularly call the baby stubborn just because it creates a laugh, but you're right. They're not stubborn. They want to fit, but that uterus now is having to work so hard to help baby fit. And that's why it's so long and so intense so often.
So the uterus has this power. In the obstetric world, they call it the 3 Ps. The passager, that's the baby. The pelvis, or the passage.
Passage, that's it. Not passage, yeah.
And then the powers, and that's the uterine contraction. And sometimes, in modern medical technological management, they've got a lot of skills, they've got a lot of tools, and they want to use them. They spend a lot of money for that. And it seems to make things more effective for them, or efficient. They feel like they can time things. We'll bring in people, on Tuesdays and start induction so that we're off for the weekend, and things like this. And there's, the doctors are in a debate about this. There's some truth to this, and there's also some misunderstanding what makes a healthy pregnancy. And so there's some fear around it. Will the baby be okay if we wait for nature to take its course?
Right.
Well, we promote good nutrition, pure water, a little salt in the diet, and walking and movement. Walking and movement is the nutrition of the body.
Right.
And we need that suppleness for ease of birth, but we also need good health. We need some greens and fresh fruits and vegetables, mostly vegetables, not so much grains, and some meat, protein, definitely like 6 servings of protein every day, especially in the last half of pregnancy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe more if you're having twins. So nutrition's really vital, and movement's really vital. And then some people need some medical intervention. I'm not gonna try to talk anybody out of that if that's a medical need.
Right.
But
well, then there's this whole rabbit hole of what is need, right? And we won't go there.
That's right. But once a person starts, let's say that your listeners are interested, those that are pregnant are interested in what can they do before birth to help themselves and their baby have an easier birth experience.
Yeah.
It's easier, but you know what? Once you learn the things that we present in Spinning Babies, it's also, you have a sense of self-control, a sense of control over your birth. Not that you can control birth, but you have a sense of understanding your body and feeling your body and being friends with your body.
Yeah. And trusting your body and in participation in the event versus it just kind of happening to you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Are you tired of chasing the headlines? Instead, you're looking for an engaging, evidence-based podcast to be your catalyst for optimized health, wellness, and performance? The Catalyst 360 podcast with Dr. Brad Cooper just launched our 5th year. We bring you fascinating insights from best-selling authors, world-class researchers, and elite athletes every single week. And thanks to people just like you, it's now knocking on the door to being in the top 1% of all podcasts. If you're looking to ditch the fads and move your life toward better than yesterday, the Catalyst 360 podcast might just turn out to be your new favorite.
So it's really more of a confidence than a control, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to step into the unknown for birth. But when we have that confidence in our body, we're more likely to speak our needs to our providers, to our midwives and doctors. We're more likely to tell our birth team what feels good and what doesn't feel good, what feels safe and what doesn't feel safe, what feels supportive and what is taking us down a rabbit hole.
Right. Well, and more able to trust your instincts as well, because we have those and they're very important.
And we're more able to access our instincts.
Yes.
When our fascia's in a twist, it twists our pelvic floor, it twists our respiratory diaphragm, and it twists the membrane under our midbrain. And so it affects our hormones, it affects our instincts, so that our mood might be disarrayed.
Yeah. And fascia, real quickly, I know not everybody knows what fascia is. We're used to that term.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah. So it's just like that kind of spiderwebby or lacy connective tissue all over your body. I like to kind of describe it as when you peel the chin off a chicken. When you peel the skin off of chicken, you see that kind of goo connecting the skin to the meat. It's kind of like fascia is how I often describe it.
Well, that's dead fascia. And so living fascia is much more, of course, lively.
Yes.
It has membranes, but it also has webbing that goes right through the muscles and through the joints, because the joints, the cartilage, the ligaments, they're all made out of fascia. So fascia is the building material, and it comes in different consistencies, stretchiness or firmness, depending on the part of the body.
It's kind of temperamental.
Say what you mean. Rachel. So, what do you mean?
So if you fall, your fascia might just bind up on you.
Especially when there's a shock. Yeah.
Yes. Any sort of shock or sudden movement, it'll bind up on you. And then
stop. Yeah.
I think most of us think, okay, I need to like deeply massage this out to make ourselves feel better or to help get to the bottom of it. But fascia likes this more gentle movement. It doesn't like that deep massage that so many of us like. It likes what you call the jiggle, or like a little vibration of movement. Yeah. And so it's just, we need to be aware of it in order to treat it properly, because it does almost counterintuitive.
It does have a deep pressure sensory receptor, but the two that we work with in our work in spinning babies, Rachel, you and I, we work with the jiggle receptor, which is oscillation. It's not shaking,
right?
Oscillating, and to realize our body has a lot of water in it, so we're activating the fluids in the tissue with a gentle little ripply jiggle, and then the other one is a slow, sustained stretch.
Yes. And so I think it's really important to understand that fascia aspect and just kind of know what that means, because I think more of us are familiar with the bony structures, more of us are familiar with muscles, but that fascia hasn't gotten as much attention until recently.
Yes, it's a hot item in anatomy, sports medicine, and now finally in surgical medicine. Yeah. But if your listeners, dear listeners, if this is like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, let's just move on and get into this stuff. Because you can do all this without knowing the story behind it.
Yes. So let's do that. So you've mentioned creating balance in our body.
Yeah, not too tight, not too loose, not too twisty. And our muscles they work in pairs. So if we have a tight muscle that feels hurt, instead of like massaging that deeply, we can go find its partner and start addressing that one, helping that one to be less loose more activated. Sometimes it just needs to be activated. It's not necessarily means it needs to be strengthened. And then, so you're working with your whole body with jiggle. We can jiggle the bum, and that can help the ligaments of the side. When somebody gets a abdominal pain on the side in like pregnancy, mid or late pregnancy, jiggling the bum for 10 minutes can relieve that and relieve it, not just for moments, but maybe for days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we set up a series of simple exercises, and we like them simple, we like them slow, and we like them easy.
Yes.
Spinning babies. This is not phy ed. And it's not even yoga, although I love slow prenatal yoga and appropriate exercises. They're great, but I'm not that person.
Yeah.
So I came about this from the point of view of, I don't have a long attention span. I want to do something that feels good, that's easy and effective, rapid effectiveness. And unfortunately, it's not just one exercise. What is the one exercise that I do that's going to make my birth beautiful?
Right.
There might be that one, but it's not the same one for everybody.
Right.
And most people are going to need half a dozen.
Yeah, well, definitely in our current culture and our just modern day lives, of course. Yeah. But what are the three main ones?
Well, we have 3 techniques that are body balancing techniques that come to us from other sources that we prioritize. So we call them the 3 balances.
Yes.
And 2 of them come from Dr. Carol Phillips, and they're called the sideline release and the forward leaning inversion. And one of them comes from orthobionomy through Jenny Blythe. And that one is called the jiggle. And it's an abbreviated form of some more advanced body work that comes through from birth work or Jenny Blythe in Australia. Okay, so 3 things. We have a jiggle. We go upside down. And then we do the sideline release, which is not just sideline. It's not just laying on our side.
Right.
It's a slow, sustained stretch from a very precise position. So the leg, the person's own leg is just, it seems like it's hanging off the edge of a table or bed, massage table or bed, I should say. But it's their helper. It's getting their pelvis in a very precise 90-degree angle to that massage table or that bed or couch. People have done it on logs. People have done it on sandbars.
Countertops.
Countertops, windowsills. I did it at a windowsill. My food go up one time when I was having a little lunch, and there was a pregnant person in a lot of pain at the table next to me, and I started chatting with them. And
hey, you make do. You got to be resourceful.
We're doing sideline release on the windowsill, and they walk out of there like they're dancing in air because now they feel so good.
So funny.
Yeah, so those are the 3 main ones. And then for our daily activities, we do a little psoas lengthening. That's some front muscles coming over the pelvis.
Calf stretches.
Hip flexors. An anterior pelvic tilt in a half squat. Everything. Just move your body side to side. Get those ribs moving and expanding with deep breaths.
Don't just focus on your pelvis, right? Because like you said, this is a whole body approach. So yes, we stretch out our calf muscles. Yes, we want to be aware of the tension in our shoulders. It all ties together. And even jaw, you've mentioned jaw a couple of times. It all ties together. And that's so important. It's just important for everyone to understand that it is a whole body approach. And all of those things we can find on your website, right?
Yeah, we have a list. Well, not all of everything in the world, but we do have a pretty long list, from neck rolls and shoulder rolls, windmill to open up the ribs.
I love that one.
It's such a good one, and it helps with sciatica if it's done, if the person positions their hips properly for it. Calf stretch, as you mentioned, which can be done in the first trimester. Windmill and calf stretch can be done in the first trimester. But we save the squatting for second and third trimester. And, but we're doing a very moderated, adapted squat to get the tailbone far from the pubic bone. To lengthen the pelvic floor. We want to lengthen the pelvic floor. We do ball squeezes. I love the ball squeezes. That helps with urinary incontinence or
Mm-hmm.
If you sneeze and pee,
Yep.
you can, and the sciatica and the urinary accidents seem to resolve with just 3 days or less of ball squeezes and windmills.
That's amazing.
Yeah, people don't have to be in pain in pregnancy.
Yeah.
There are a number of things. Wearing a belly band can be very helpful. People get their abdominal muscles splitting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about what a friend of mine said at her workshop was that, as the baby grows, where is it going to go? If your back is too tight, your pelvic floor has been shortened, and you got a bra on and your ribs are not expanding, the baby can only go out the belly, and so the muscles are going to give.
Of course.
So we do big breaths and deep breathing and windmills and the anterior pelvic tilts to help lengthen the floor, the ceiling, and then figure eights with the hips help with those muscles that go from the back of the pelvis up to the spine.
Mm-hmm.
Their nickname is QLs, and they're not very prominent muscles. You don't really notice them in people's body.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're tight, they do tend to hold the baby to the right or hold them in a posterior position.
Yeah.
So figure eight belly dancing is great.
Or on the ball too. Could that work?
On the ball too. You can, because you can figure out how to do figure eights, because it's sort of like taking one of your hips up and forward,
mm-hmm.
And back and down, and then the other one up, forward, back and down, or forward, up, back and down.
Yeah.
And so you're getting that nice figure eight between the two hips that helps just lengthen those muscles. Even if you were lengthening them, not even, just a few millimeters, not even that much thicker than your thumbnail, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's making a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a tremendous amount of difference, because all those body parts are then becoming supple and holding the baby in a nice little nest.
Strong but supple is what I like to say.
Yes. Yes. Supple. We're prioritizing supple over strength.
Not too loose.
Birth preparation. Yeah.
Yes. And so all of those activities, they can purchase either a download or a DVD of all of the daily activities, which also includes a nice yoga flow. We mentioned yoga, and there is a nice yoga flow included in that DVD, and I'm going to link that below.
Wonderful. You'll see Sarah Longacre of Bluma Yoga, whose vision was to make the Daily Essentials video.
And it's great. I used it with my most recent pregnancy, so definitely helpful.
Oh, fantastic. And also to look for a certified parent educator, a spinning baby certified parent educator, such as yourself, Rachel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we teach not only those daily essentials and those daily movements, we teach the 3 balances that we mentioned as well. We also teach how to use different movements within labor, because kind of going back to that 3 Ps you mentioned, the passenger, passage, and powers, I look at that. And so like you said, medical providers look at that and they think, what can we do medically to make this the way we want it? And they
make more power with pitocin.
And I look at we do the passage. I look at it and I say, what is this pattern telling me that this baby needs? Not from a medical standpoint.
The pattern of contractions.
Yes, but from a physiological standpoint, what is this telling me that this baby needs physiologically? And unfortunately, we don't have time to get into all of that today. But
we'll come back and we'll talk about birth positions. Opening the top is different than opening the bottom. They can find that at the birth positions at the Pelvic Level Solutions on the Spinning Babies website.
Perfect. So I will try to put all of those links below. Spinning babies is such a big topic. It's become such a big topic, and there's so much that I just want to spill and share.
Well, Rachel, we'll do it some more. We'll meet together some more. You're doing great work out there. And congratulations on this wonderful podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here. I look forward to doing another one with you and sharing even more information with our audience. So like I said a few times, I will put links in the description below.
Yeah.
To be able to help the audience further. But until next time, I guess.
And if people want to join us on Facebook, we're going to do once a month. There is a parent Facebook, a Spinning Babies parent Facebook group.
Okay.
And it's free, and you can come and type in your questions or listen to the chat.
Awesome. That is going to be such a good resource. I love it. Thank you again. And listeners, if you guys
you're so welcome.
If listeners, if you have any questions, reach out to me at contact@thenaturalbirthsite.com, and I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Hi, Rachel Manns again. If you want to learn more, please subscribe to and rate this podcast, and head over to thenaturalbirthsite.com to check out our online natural birth education course, birth story blog, YouTube channel, and more.